Hello, Patriots, praying citizens, and truth seekers. Today is December 18th. It's Tuesday, and there were quite a few troubling things that happened today. And weighing that with the Q posts, I think it's important to go back and review what's really going on. A lot of people are giving up, they're losing heart, and this is not the time to wimp out. This is the time to be strong. So let's remind ourselves it's always darkest before the dawn. These are the things that were a little bit disturbing today. First, wall funding, according to Drudge, Drudge is who knows where they are politically. They're running a lot of mainstream media fake news stories these days, but they're saying wall funding is off the table, and the USA today gave $4.8 billion to Mexico, actually part of a total package of $10.6 billion to Mexico and Central America. So here are the two stories. The White House suggested Tuesday that President Trump could back down from his demand for $5 billion to fund the proposed border wall in a year-end spending bill. He's been pushing for the money, and the Democrats are pushing back, saying they're going to impose a government shutdown because they won't agree to it, and the funding for 7 agencies will lapse after midnight on Friday. And last week the president said he would be proud to close parts of the government over border security. This is his quote, or actually the quote from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. "We have other ways that we can get to that $5 billion that will work with Congress." She told Fox News on Tuesday morning and added that the Trump administration could support $1.6 billion in border security proposed by Senate Democrats as long as that can couple or be coupled with other funding resources to get to $5 billion. And then this came out late this afternoon from the State Department. It was a joint statement announced from the U.S. and Mexican governments, saying that the U.S. has pledged $5.8 billion in aid and investment for strengthening government and economic developments in Central America, and another $4.8 billion in aid for southern Mexico. So this is coming out of, for me, came out of left field. I wasn't real sure what to make of these things, but I know that President Trump likes to say, he likes to jockey back and forth. It's part of his strategy, and so I know that he knows he cannot back down from the wall or he will lose a lot of supporters for the next election. Then we had this from NPR. The Justice Department has amended the regulations of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to clarify that bump stock type devices are machine guns and are illegal. The National Enquirer has now been cited in a lawsuit saying that they helped Trump commit criminal violation of campaign finance law because there was a $150,000 payment before the election. As part of the agreement, they squashed a story about Trump and these women that came forward making allegations about sexual misconduct with him. So essentially now, because of this ruling, any news organization that squashes a story is making a political contribution. The cat is out of the bag, so that means whether it is a Democrat who's running or a Republican who's running, the news organizations can act either to promote that candidate or squash stories that are against them, and that's making a political contribution. So this came in, what if G-men went after the Washington Post as they're going after the Enquirer? And that is a very good question. I'm not sure these people really know what they've just done. And then we had this. Christopher Steele, you will remember, is the MI6 spy from Britain. He was the author of the Trump-Russia collusion dossier, and he admitted in court that the Democrat law firm Perkins Coie hired him in preparation for Trump winning the presidency in 2016. His goal was to help Hillary challenge the results of the election. And then, by the same token, we had James Comey testifying to Congress that the Republicans are the ones who paid for the dossier. And I reported on this way back, and it actually started with a newspaper, a conservative-leaning newspaper. It also was associated with a Republican campaign person running for office, and it got shopped around until they found someone who was willing to pay for it, which ended up being Hillary Clinton through the Perkins Coie law firm, Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee. So Comey was just picking out one part, saying Republicans, there was a Republican and his office paid for it, but it ended up being paid for by Perkins Coie and Hillary Clinton. All right, so out of Comey's testimony, he admitted that he had eliminated any mention of President Obama's secret email alias, which Obama used to communicate to Hillary on her private email server, from his public remarks at a July 5th, 2016 news conference. So Comey was before we didn't see the testimony, but then they released a transcript of it this afternoon. He was before the cameras, and the man has an ego the size of the Empire State Building. He was dishing dirt against the president. He was saying nasty things about the Republicans. In fact, he told reporters someday the GOP will have to explain to their grandchildren what they did today. He accused them of not defending the FBI from President Trump's attacks. He also lashed out at Republicans, calling for them to stand up to the fear of Fox News, fear of their base, fear of mean tweets, and stand up for the values of this country. A man is unbelievable. Then we had Flynn before a judge today. It was supposed to be a sentencing hearing. It turned into anything but. Flynn was given every opportunity by Judge Sullivan to withdraw his guilty plea that he lied to the FBI, but he insisted on standing by it. The judge raised the question of whether Flynn committed treason, sold out the United States, and served as an unregistered foreign agent in the White House. And he was verbally disgusted by Flynn, made it known. Reporters ran with the story. He accused Flynn of working as an unregistered agent for Turkey while he was Trump's national security advisor, but that's not true. Flynn stopped acting on Turkey's behalf when Trump hired him during the transition. He apologized, but it was too late. The fake news headlines had already been broadcast everywhere. Now, the sentencing was postponed indefinitely with an update scheduled for March 13th of 2019. Sullivan also said he has more questions about the special counsel's conduct and the FBI's conduct. So I got this off of Twitter. Stephen Portnoy says, I felt terrible about that, Sullivan says, after the prosecutor notes that Flynn's conduct as a foreign agent ended in mid-November of 2016. Quote, I'm not suggesting he committed treason, Sullivan adds, further apologizing for his remarks in the prior session. Sullivan made it obvious that FARA violations could rise to the level of treason. What's FARA? Well, if you act on behalf of a foreign government, you have to register as a foreign agent. This is under the FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act. The question was, who else has acted as a foreign agent? Now, I'm asking that question. We know that Hillary Clinton, if you look at the money that her foundation took in, the speeches Bill Clinton gave, you look at these people, you look at the Podestas, you've got a lot of people acting as foreign agents. And in fact, the testimony on the Clinton Foundation that was given by a couple of whistleblowers last week said outright that the Clintons acted as foreign agents. So if Sullivan said these things, he's not a young guy and he's not dumb. Was this planned? Was Sullivan's statement about treason and FARA violations planned? And was he part of setting the stage? That's a good question. This was also from Twitter, Brian Cates, who calls himself Draw and Strike, said, I'm speechless. The last thing I ever expected. Sullivan's used everything but signal flags to tell Flynn he's willing to toss his case. And are you sitting down? Flynn won't let him. Flynn is determined to be sentenced. So Flynn was given every opportunity, and he kept saying, nope, I'm standing by what I've already said. I'm standing by my plea. Then I know some of you don't like I the Spy, but I think some of the things that this person puts out are notable. So I just picked this one up. He says, this was the desired outcome, Patriots. Flynn is involved in a federal investigation. Case was delayed so that he may continue to be involved with said investigation. I will not give more detail than that. It is sealed. Patriots protect patriots. Be happy. The general flies free. Now, when this comes up again in March, Flynn can still withdraw his guilty plea, although he was adamant today that he didn't wish to do so. But if he withdraws later, then Mueller has to prove his case in court if he still wants to go after Flynn, and we know that he won't be able to do that because there are contradictions in statements. There were 302s, those are the interview notes that conflict with each other, and it will not stand up in court. Now let's start going back through some of these Q posts. I think you're going to find it interesting, if you haven't already done this, to kind of just summarize where we are. And we've been hearing the same message since October of last year, but we haven't understood it like we do now because we're looking back at what Q has said, and we're seeing the events unfolding, and many have already finished unfolding. So he starts on October 31st with the picture of Washington crossing the Delaware, and it's a Patriots JPEG. Then he says SCIF, which is a secret office where they're not allowed to have phones, and nothing is allowed to escape that room. Then he says military intelligence. What is state secrets and how upheld in the Supreme Court? Well, the state secrets means that the Supreme Court can protect classified information, state secrets, and it doesn't have to come out. What must be completed to engage military intelligence over other three-letter agencies? What must occur to allow for civilian trials? Why is this relevant? What was Flynn's background? I'm going to read that to you right now. So let's start with what must be completed to engage the military intelligence over the other three-letter agencies. Department of Defense must have clear and verified reason to believe the Republic is at risk and must execute their duty to protect the President and the Constitution. An executive order is invoked in which enables POTUS to mobilize Department of the Defense National Intelligence Agency to create a war council of sorts. Military law can be applied to civilians, but only in special circumstances. If a nation declares martial law, military authority replaces civilian authority. Under martial law, the military operates the police, courts, and legislature instead of the civilian government. And just thinking about this, if there's a government shutdown on Friday because Trump is tired of messing around with Democrats and they won't fund the wall, maybe this has something to do with that. Just kind of keep that in the back of your head. Now, Flynn's background. He's 60 years old. He's a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant General. He served in the Army for 33 years until 2014. He had a key role in shaping U.S. counterterrorism strategy and dismantling insurgent networks in Afghanistan and Iraq. He was given numerous combat arms, conventional, and special operations senior intelligence assignments. He was appointed by President Obama as the 18th Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, serving from July 2012 till he retired or was fired by Obama in August of 2014. After leaving the military, he established Flynn Intel Group, which has provided intelligence services for businesses and governments, including ones in Turkey. Now let's go back to the Post. What was Flynn's background? So defense intelligence, why is this relevant? Why did Admiral Rogers from the NSA meet Trump privately without authorization? That caused a huge stir. This was before Trump was president. Admiral Rogers went and met with him without letting Obama know. Does POTUS know where the bodies are buried? Does POTUS have the goods on most bad actors? Was Trump asked to run for president? Why? By who? Okay, I'll read the rest of this because it's pretty key to what's going on. Was Hillary next in line? Was the election supposed to be rigged? Did good people prevent the rigging? Why did POTUS form a panel to investigate the election results? Has POTUS ever made a statement that did not become proven as true or fact? What is POTUS in control of? What is the one organization left that isn't corrupt? And that is the military. Why does the military play such a vital role? Because he is the commander-in-chief of the military. Why is he surrounded by highly respected generals? Who guards former presidents? The Secret Service, which I have seen it two ways. I've seen that it's under the Marines, and I've also seen it's under Homeland Security, but either way, he's in charge. Why is that relevant? Who guards Hillary? Secret Service. Why is Antifa allowed to operate? Why hasn't the Muslim Brotherhood been classified as a terrorist organization? What happens if Soros-funded operations get violent and engage in domestic terrorism? What happens if mayors and police communications chiefs do not enforce the law? What authority does POTUS have specifically over the Marines? There's a whole barracks in D.C. that's specifically guarding POTUS. Why is this important? What is Mueller's background? Military. Was Trump asked to run for president with assurances made to prevent tampering? How is POTUS always 5 steps ahead? Who is helping him? All right, now I just want to show you this from POTUS schedule. It's a Twitter account. It's probably not official. But it says here that POTUS sent a letter to the Speaker of the House extending the national emergency declared in Executive Order 13818 of December 20th, 2017, which is blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. Now think the movement of people against their will, shall we say. The prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source in whole or substantial part outside the U.S. continue to threaten the stability of international political and economic systems. And then he talks about human rights abuses. This is from the White House, saying that it undermines the values that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies. Then drop down here. For this reason, I have determined that it's necessary to continue the national emergency declared in Executive Order 13818 with respect to serious human rights abuse and corruption. The next retro post is 36 from November 1st of 2017. Military intelligence, no media, no leaks. How many military intelligence generals have been in and out of the White House in the past 30 days? Focus on Flynn. Background and potential role. What is the common denominator in terms of military backgrounds close to POTUS? Why? They're all generals. Why did Soros transfer the bulk of his public funds to a nonprofit? Why is this relevant? Who owes a lot to very bad actors? Hillary Clinton. How can she repay as payment was made under the promise of her being president? What cash payments occurred by Barack Obama during the last 90 of his presidency to foreign states and or organizations? Remember the money that was sent to Iran. What slush fund did Sessions through the Department of Justice put an end to? How does Soros, Obama, Clinton, Holder, Lynch, etc. all net many millions of dollars normally within a single tax year? What was negotiated on the tarmac between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch? Remember, it was expected that Hillary was going to win during this time period. What if the wizards and warlocks tipped off a local reporter as to the supposed unscheduled stop? Now that would be the people inside the intelligence agencies, and they sent a local reporter to catch Loretta and Bill on the tarmac. What if the NSA, under the personal direction from Admiral Rogers, had this meeting miscategorized and logged under a false identity to prevent bad actors from locating, while also verifying to said players all was clear, and there would be no logs. What really happened when the wizards and warlocks revealed what they had? Was Comey forced into the spotlight shortly thereafter, not by choice, right before the election no doubt would cast suspicion? So Comey had to come out and he had to talk about doing the investigation into Hillary, which the left was really mad about. And then at the end he said, oh, and by the way, I'm not finding anything that we could even charge or we should even be upset about, although she did some very bad things, but I'm not going to press charges. And Loretta Lynch had already agreed to just whatever he said to go along with it. These are crumbs, and you cannot imagine the full and complete picture. If Trump failed, if we failed, and Hillary assumed control, we as patriots were prepared to do the unthinkable. This was leaked internally and kept the delegate recount scam and Barack Obama from declaring fraud. Dig deeper. Missing critical points to paint the full picture. There is simply no other way than to use the military. It's that corrupt and dirty. Please be safe and pray for those in harm's way as they continually protect and serve our great country. Game theory. This is post 97 from November 5th. The branch of mathematics concerned with the analysis of strategies for dealing with competitive situations where the outcome of a participant's choice of action depends critically on the actions of other participants. That's game theory. Why is this relevant? There are moves and counter moves. Who's the enemy? False flags. Now, this was the 5th, and on the 5th, you had Sutherland Springs church shooter Devin Patrick Kelley shooting up a church. I think there were 9 people killed. He was a former airman, so he was in the Air Force, but he did not receive a dishonorable discharge for his assault convictions. He basically has mental issues, and after serving 12 months in a military prison, he received a bad conduct discharge in 2014. Okay, so this was the false flag. The shooter identification, his history, his background, his family. MS-13, define hostage, define leverage. MS-13, shooter, family, hostage, force, narrative, race, background. Why is this relevant? Flynn. What is Flynn's background? What was his rank? Lieutenant General. Was he involved in intelligence operations? Yes, in Iraq and Afghanistan. What access or special privileges? Why is this relevant? Well, he was in charge of, data collection at the DNI setup, or I should say the Defense Intelligence Agency. Who wins? Who becomes exposed? Who knows where the bodies are buried? Who has access? What is military intelligence? Flynn, remember he was there from July of 2012 to August of 2014. Who was part of military intelligence during Barack Obama's term? Who was fired? Why is this relevant? Reread complete Chrome graphic, confirmed good, paint the picture. Disinformation exists and is necessary. 10 days, darkness, war, good versus evil, roadmap of big picture is here, review post happenings, clarified. Crumbs not only for the 8chan poll, the silent ones, others monitoring, friends and enemies, instructions, Snow White, Godfather 3, Q. If you're new to all of this, I think it's really helpful to review these posts for those that have been around and also for new people because you're getting a retro view of what actually happened and what Q was posting, and you can see how all of this ties together. From December 5th, who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. We protect our patriots. And Q recycled this post very recently. Then from March 17th, post 953, how bad is the corruption? Well, we know it's bad because so many from the FBI and the Department of Justice have been fired, and also from the State Department. Removal is the least of their problems. Projection. Russia, Democrats and Hillary, Twitter bots, Google, or operated by Google, not Russia, the narrative and the political slant. Biden has some very nefarious connections with China involving a lot of money. Big development, traders everywhere, America for sale, Flynn targeted. Why? Who knows where the bodies are buried? But he was cleared of all charges. Trump administration version 2, election theft. Last hope, congressional focus, impeach. They think you're stupid. They think you will follow the stars. They openly call you sheep and cattle. There will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. Biggest fear is the public waking up. April 4th, post 1008, it was not supposed to be revealed that POTUS is not under criminal investigation. Not yet, but it was revealed. Traitor. Massive intel sweep. Manafort was a plant. Traces background. Open source. Who was arrested? Non-U.S. Trace the background. Open source. Carter Page was a plant. Trace the background. Open source. Why is Mueller going after inside plants? Flynn is safe. Define witness. Can a witness hold a position of power and influence while the investigation is ongoing? Russia, Russia, Russia. Real or fake? Fake. Julian Assange. Seth Rich. And then he talks here about MS-13 and Seth Rich's death. The wheel. No investigation into WikiLeaks receipt of information. No pull down of NSA metadata trace C to WikiLeaks. No pull down of NSA metadata, period. Nothing transferred across the web. Direct to direct bypass dump. No direct investigation into the DNC computer and software. No direct investigation into CS. I'm thinking that that's Christopher Steele. FBI, Supreme Court, DOJ, Fed, simply, the federal government, simply trust CS's report on data breach. Hussein block, Hussein control, Hussein state secrets, White House national security articles 1 through 9 buried. Awan attached. America for sale, cheating Obama, trust the plan, April showers, Q. 1265, we knew this day would come. We knew people would need a guide. We all have a part to play. We knew Flynn would be challenged, part of the plan. Flynn Jr. tweeted recently that Michael Flynn did not lie to the vice president. So that was the excuse for Trump firing him, is that he lied to the vice president, which at the time sounded like a really strange reason to fire Flynn. But it was all part of the plan. Timing, plan. Signals sent, White House position, moves and countermoves, roll outside of the White House. And then, so he has been given a role outside of the White House. He lost his house. He had to pay his funds for his legal defense. He's beat up. So these were all the things that were running through the fake news media. Q says you're watching a play or movie. What's right, what's wrong, up is down, left is right, left is left. White House position, rapid changes. Why? Planned? Visibility in one helps another. Connected. And there have been a lot of changes at the White House. It's all connected and it's all planned. CIA to Secretary of State, so that would be Mike Pompeo, North Korea, Iran, Russia, China, and Mexico. Why is this relevant? So here we are at the last bit with Mexico, the State Department, which is where Pompeo is now, announcing all this money. Why is this relevant? Think pushback, open source. Why? People, or they, are watching. Proofs provided to retain. In other words, well, I would think that means just to retain people's interest in the fact that Q's got a huge army out here. President Trump has an army of supporters, and we have to have something to hang on to. Future proves past, history books, Q. All right, so this next one, getting closer to current time, this is from April, number 1281, done in 30, and then 30s in brackets. House report backs claim that FBI agents did not think Flynn lied despite his guilty plea. And this is in the headlines again today. Why would Flynn plead guilty to something untrue? Define testimony. Define on the record. So, if he pleads guilty to something untrue, it has something to do with him being able to give his testimony and get it on the record. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. Expand your thinking. And then he asks, what was completed and released today regarding Flynn? Done in 30, expand. So, completed and released on April 27th was the House Intelligence Committee report concluding no evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. The FBI agents didn't detect any deception during Flynn's interview, and this hasn't changed. This is in the headlines again today. House cleaning done in 30. So, house cleaning or clearing Flynn was done in 30 days. All right, 1282, also from April 27th. This is a story that says new text messages reveal FBI agent was friends with judge in Flynn case. So the FBI agent would be Peter Strzok. He was friends with Judge Rudy Contreras, who was one of the judges that was used for FISA, signing off on FISA warrants. So this is a CNN that explains it a little bit better. CNN article. The latest batch of text messages provided to Congress on Thursday between two top FBI employees who have come under scrutiny for criticizing then candidate Trump capture their immediate reactions to the firing of FBI Director James Comey and the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller. So it talks about the text messages between Strzok and Page. They show their dismay. They don't like the fact that Comey's gone, and they talk about possibly working for Mueller. They say, there's lots that they say, but this last bit here says, having a tough time processing tonight, Lisa, feeling a profound sense of loss, Strzok writes to Page a couple days after Comey was fired. And he is friends with one of the FISA court judges. Expand. Who interviewed Flynn? Peter Strzok and Joe Pientka, I think it is, at the direction of James Comey and Andrew McCabe. So, McCabe's gone, Comey's gone, and Strzok is gone. What redacted texts were released yesterday? Coincidence. Why did Flynn take the bullet? Was it a rubber bullet? Lawmakers make public. Lawmakers learned Gmail draft comms yesterday. So they were hiding their messages to each other by writing them as drafts. They would each go into the draft folder and never really send it, but the messages would be in the drafts. Lawmakers go hunting. What is the purpose of a laser pointer? You have more than you know. Do you understand the comms? Q. Then this was at the bottom. If the FBI found no evidence of lying, why was Flynn charged? Expand your thinking. Flynn was charged because he was charged and then he was willing to plead guilty. So this link says Michael Flynn charged in special counsel's Russia investigation. 1 + 1 and 1, notice how he doesn't do plus, which is kind of weird. 1 and 1 don't equal 2. Eyes open, comms good. So it's sounding even more like Flynn, in order to get his testimony into the record and in order to be able to testify, he had to keep being involved in this investigation. And he has given something like 60 plus hours of testimony to Mueller. Why would he have to do that if this were just all it was? If it was just him with this Russian ambassador, which wasn't even a problem in the first place, that he spoke to the guy. So anyway, it's just looking more and more like the plan. All of this is part of the plan, even though it's painted to be problematic by the fake news media. So here is the 1 + 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2. These do not match. Michael Flynn charged in special counsel's Russia investigation, and House report backs claim that FBI agents did not think Flynn lied despite guilty plea. Reread drops, future proves past, you have more than you know. Then 1286, April 27th again, reconcile, reporting incorrect, per the White House. The day before, enemy, slave, Mueller and Uranium One, Mueller and then this headline, Robert Mueller counsel financial records. And it talks about him giving up a partnership where he made almost $3.5 million since the beginning of 2016. He doesn't get anything like that as special counsel. I mean, I don't know what it pays, but it's certainly no more than like $150,000. So why would he give that up unless they were using Uranium One because he did some illegal things with Uranium One, so they're using that to hold it over his head, and he's actually working for the president, or probably shouldn't say it that way, but he's actually working to find the truth and not as a deputy dog going after President Trump. So then it links to a Politico story. Well, that's that special counsel's finances. Comey to POTUS, not being investigated. Rod Rosenstein to POTUS, you're not being investigated. And Mueller says to POTUS that he's not a criminal target. But that was the part that was leaked and shouldn't have been. The rest of that post, we have these articles all baiting Trump. Rosenstein tells Trump he's not a target. And then Q asks, why no contact with WikiLeaks and Julian Assange? And they should have contacted Julian Assange because he's the one who put out the DNC leaks and the Hillary Clinton email leaks. So then the question is, what is being investigated? Why is Mueller's team stacked with ex-Clinton and Democrat senior level authorities? Why are POTUS supporters screaming for an end? Well, it has to be stacked with Clinton people because otherwise it doesn't look like it's a fair, it's always stacked way in against the Republicans in order to make things look fair. POTUS witch hunt end. Add Rudy Giuliani, quiet. Can the investigation officially and publicly drop POTUS from review and continue? So in other words, if you take Trump's name out and you say, well, we're not investigating him, then what's the whole point of the Mueller investigation? There isn't one. Then this question, why did the Podesta group close shop? Well, it's because he and Manafort both did work for the Ukraine government. And if they went after Manafort, they're going after Podesta. Why are known bad actors in full support of Mueller? Why did POTUS interview FBI Director Mueller a day prior to his special counsel appointment if impossible to assign his position? He had already served more than 10 years as FBI director, so why did POTUS interview him pretending that he was going to he could possibly appoint him? Well, it's because he was making the deal with Mueller about Uranium One, and we won't go after you so much on this if you will take this job as special counsel. Why did Sessions recuse? What are the powers of Huber and the IG? And then this is that famous Jonathan Turley article, Sessions using Utah federal prosecutor John Huber, much better than Trump appointing a second special counsel. Who has the power and who can know? This was a long one. Are Democrats using as midterm tactic to win the House? Are they using as ammo to gain majority to impeach? Impeach on what grounds? What facts exist to impeach? House report, POTUS, no evidence of collusion. Mueller report will contradict per Brennan tweet today. Disconnect exists. Republicans and Democrats negative for POTUS. Everybody is, it seems, some days. Insurance policy. Comey release of memos to obtain SC, a special counsel. SC attack, POTUS witch hunt. Special counsel Comey, Rod Rosenstein state that POTUS is not under investigation, and then Flynn pleads guilty to not committing a crime, so it's a process crime, lying to the FBI, which he didn't even really do, probably. Not no committed crime, but he pleads guilty. Peter Strzok interviewed, Strzok and Page, relationship with the judge. Number 2, Strzok, Page, 302, modified fusion GPS. The Brits, raw intelligence. Dossier, Five Eyes, which are the 5 countries that work together, the allies of the U.S. with sharing of intelligence. Google. DNC, rigging, superdelegates, funding and voter rolls, an agreement. Election and voter fraud. CIA, DNI, FBI, DOJ, Secretary of State, President. More than you can imagine regarding Hillary and the insurance that she was going to win. Why? To cover their tracks, the remainder of the illegal acts. Confused? Who is the special counsel targeting? It's not Donald Trump. Who's on the team? Who's off the team? Questions will reveal answers. Time will tell. Q. Then the next one is about the firing of Preet Bharara, who was in New York. He was the Attorney General. Bharara had already met with Trump and had been asked to stay on as U.S. Attorney, so he was surprised by the call and by a similar one a few weeks later. When Trump telephoned a third time after the inauguration, Bharara said he didn't return the call and he was fired 22 hours later. Well, what does he do? He blames it on Trump and says that his experience had echoes of testimony given last week by Comey about inappropriate conversations with Trump, and he said it felt like deja vu. So he's blaming it on Trump. Why was Preet Bharara fired? Why was the New York Attorney General just removed? So why did Rudy recently join Trump's legal team after being quiet for so long? What must be cleaned first? You have to have a clean judiciary. You have to have a clean FBI. You have to have a clean Department of Justice. Who investigates? Who prosecutes? What can finally be done? Who has the ultimate authority? Does it fall under the Russia recusal? Does Flynn know? Define on the record. You have more than you know. Enjoy the show. Again, it's talking about Flynn and him giving testimony. From June 11th, this is an article, DOJ refusing to give Grassley access to the agent who interviewed Flynn. So the agent is Joe Pientka. And the article says, asked about the letter, however, a Department of Justice official said Rosenstein is currently representing the U.S. in a brief, unrelated visit to a foreign nation. He was in Canada. One of America's key intelligence partners, one of the Five Eyes, indicating he would plan on responding during the previously scheduled briefing on Thursday. This statement should ring alarms. Hint, those responsible for spying, Five Eyes, are present at that meeting. Panic. Q. Post number 1935 from August talks about projection and Democrats screaming when POTUS met with Putin. Democrats demand to hold hearings with the interpreter used during the private POTUS-Putin meeting and demanding that all meetings with Putin be canceled. Then Q asks the question, if POTUS knows everything, control over what organizations are central to operational success? And then there's this article at the top from Sarah Carter, whistleblower exposes key player in FBI Russia probe. It was all a setup. Key player is Stephen Halper. The operation was called Crossfire Hurricane, and it was used in order to try and set a trap for Trump and prove that he colluded with the Russians. Then Q, the last of this post, Q numbers 1 through 6, DOJ, FBI, NSA, U.S. military, State Department, and then foreign assets. Ask yourself, if above are central to operational success, who would you pick to lead such organizations? Hillary's election loss equals inflow to the Clinton Foundation is over. The inflow stops, therefore the John McCain Foundation takes over. Compare their donors, same people. define dark money. Dark money groups spend millions to shape our elections without revealing where their money comes from, and they can be groups that give to charities. Direct correlation. He did not depart on his own terms, referring to no name. Think Flynn, 30, exactly 30. Q. So it was exactly 30 days that the House came out with their report that he didn't lie and there was no collusion. 1981 from August 29th. Why is POTUS pushing the FBI and DOJ on this issue? What if access to the servers was deliberate? What if this is known within the intelligence community? And we do know that Hillary Clinton allowed the Chinese to have complimentary copies of everything that was sent or received on her servers when she was Secretary of State. What if this is known within the FBI and DOJ? If known, why didn't they take any action? Because they were all part of it. How might this discredit the FBI's investigation into Hillary's emails? How might this open the door to Anthony Weiner and Uma Abedin and Hillary? Logical thinking. Why was the information on Weiner's laptop in the first place? D5Q. So, of course, it was there so it could be shared. What if a paper trail exists? President's daily briefing via NSA. Barack Obama made aware with no action. Why did POTUS refuse to receive those presidential daily briefings during the transition period? Who knew? Threat assessment. Admiral Rogers and Michael Flynn both knew and said, stay away. Why did Obama and Hillary, the administration and their staff, use private emails to communicate? Because they are so dirty, and that was the only way that they could keep doing what they were doing to steal America. Was Hillary the only one to use unsecured servers? No, Barack Obama was too. If access was granted regarding Hillary private servers, can you assume access was granted regarding House servers and Imran Awan, who was the Pakistani that was given carte blanche? He was supposedly overseeing all the servers at the House for certain Democrats by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And yes, he is connected to Pakistani intelligence, Awan Free, Muslim Brotherhood, matters of national security. And Abedin is part of the Muslim Brotherhood, the terror organization. 2043 from August 31st. I'm going to kind of skip through this. This is called Special Approval, the Setup Example 1. And in here, we've got a FISA warrant issued and approved to spy on Michael Flynn. Mueller investigates Flynn and charges him. Then in all caps, Q says, you must target, remove, and silence all those illegally targeted for FISA surveillance and UK assist. UK assist plus FISA surveillance included all upstream collection and tangent contacts, umbrella surveillance, foreign target designators create leapfrog hops to isolated real targets, non-foreign comms, Section 702. $21.65 from September 12th. How do you inflict maximum pain and damage? You drop daily carpet bombs, get the rats running, you drop/release the mother of all bombs. Sarah Carter's article, How Anti-Trump Leakers Moved from Offense to Defense. Sessions and Flynn targeted for immediate removal and recusal. Sessions Senate confirmation vote, ? Barely confirmed. Rod Rosenstein, well confirmed, 94 votes. Reconcile. If Sessions wasn't a threat, why was he the primary target? Why was it critical to move Rosenstein into the DOJ as acting Attorney General regarding the appointment of Mueller as director of the special counsel so that Rosenstein would have oversight and authorization? If you know what your enemy is planning, how do you prepare strategically? Think today. Left supporting Sessions, left defending Sessions, strategic advantage. And a link to Fox News-struck page texts reveal others were leaking like mad in lead up to Trump-Russia probe. And then some Twitter accounts. With panic comes mistakes, betrayal, testimony. These people are stupid. The FISA goes both ways. Hooah. Q. So how do you inflict maximum pain? Daily carpet bombs exposing their crimes. You remove Sessions and Flynn, and you get Mr. 94% approval, Rod Rosenstein, in place. And then he appoints Mr. Trustworthy, who is Robert Mueller. This is the last one, 2548 from December 4th. Who knows, and this is at, I think it was 260. I'll recycle of that one or another post because it's so important. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. We protect our patriots. And then a couple of Twitter accounts. NBC News, there appears, although the redacted documents do not make it completely clear, that there is a separate criminal investigation going on outside of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's purview, for which Flynn has been providing significant assistance. Markers are important. December 4th, 2017 to December 4th, 2018. Think no name. So think John McCain. Did Mueller have a choice in making the recommendation? Who does Mueller now report to? Matthew Whitaker. Does Whitaker also oversee Huber and the Inspector General? What cases is Huber and the Inspector General plus the team of 470 currently working on? Obviously, the Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper cabal. Who has the servers? Who has access to the NSA in Utah, terminals 1 through 12? Does FISA grant access to NSA umbrella collection? You are witnessing something firsthand that many cannot possibly comprehend or accept as reality. Sci-fi or precision military planning. Coincidences reveal without violating national security, and they're mathematically impossible to be false. They bypass installed restrictions to prevent future legal attachments. Do you understand the communications? 5 for 5. The Senate was the target. Well, I hope this has helped you as it's helped me to go back and review the posts on Michael Flynn, to remember that it's always darkest before the dawn. Things don't look very good right now, but God is working. We walk by faith and not by sight. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, and those walls are falling. The light will shine in the darkness and expose the deeds of darkness, and the rats will be exposed, they will be caught, and they will be punished. Father, we thank you that you are doing a work. We walk by faith. We trust that you are doing a work, even though we can't see it. We thank you for our president. We ask you to protect him. We ask you to secure our borders, Father. We ask you to pull down all the networks of human rights abuses, and that the truth and love will triumph. Father, we know that our nation has some issues, and we ask you to forgive our nation, Father. Forgive our ancestors and people who've gone before us who haven't demanded more from our elected leaders. But we want to do that now, Father. We want this place cleaned up. We want this country to function in righteousness. And we thank you for what you're doing. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.